Now let us try to arrive at this result using the pipe operators, right? So how do you define what we just did, right? So we computed the correlation between the number of pages browsed on the site and the time spent on the site, but only for those visits which resulted in the purchase, right? So this is how we do it, right? So first we take the ecom data set, right? So we pass it on to the subset function, and then we filter out all those rows or visits which resulted in the purchase. So since purchase is a logical value, if you want to filter for true, you just specify the name of the column, and if you want to filter out for false, you will use the not operator before the column, right? So since we are filtering out for true values in purchase column, we'll just specify the name of the column, right? And from this, once you have filtered out for all those visits which resulted in a conversion, we want to expose two columns, right, which are basically n underscore pages and duration, and these two columns we want to pass it on to the core function, right? So you take the ecom data set, you filter out all the visits that resulted in a conversion using the subset function, and then you pass on these two columns which are n underscore pages and duration using the exposition operator to the core function, right? Let me run this, and you can see the same result, right? So it saved us from creating a intermediate data frame or R object, which was ecom1 in the previous case, and we did not have to mention the name of the data set when we were specifying these two column names, right? Here we had to specify ecom $1 n underscore pages, ecom $1 duration. Here we didn't do that, right? Using the exposition operator, we were able to pass on these two columns to the core function without specifying the name of the data set and without creating an intermediate data frame which was ecom1. Now with small data sets, it's fine if you still create an intermediate data set, but when you are dealing with very large data sets, if you end up creating multiple intermediate data sets, then it will take up a lot of space and your R session will slow down, right? So it is always good to avoid creating intermediate data frames or R objects unless you plan to use them for some other computation, right? So again, in this example, we have used two operators. One is a pipe operator to pipe the ecom data set into the subset function, and then we use the exposition operator to expose the columns of the data frame to the core function, right? Now the above function can also be written using the filter function, right? So if you're not aware of the subset function, you might get a little confused here, but if you looked at the previous lecture, that's the first lecture where we explored the dplyr verbs, then this code will make sense to you, right? Take the e-commerce data set, filter out all the visits which resulted in the purchase, and then pass on the n underscore pages and duration columns to the core function, right? So this is another way of arriving at the same result. Okay, now we look at some more examples. This was on correlation. Now we'll look at another example which will include visualization.